Oh, Flakko gets punked on No Jumper again. You know, at some point, Flacco's gonna have to realize that No Jumper just does not respect him. And it's getting to the point where they're bullying this guy. They're bullying him. They're fucking him over. They're bullying him. And honestly, this shit has to come to a close. This shit has to stop. It's going too far. It's going too far. Now, Flakko is on there with Almighty Suspect, and they're arguing over whether Mexicans should be allowed to say the N-word. This is the type of shit that's coming out of No Jumper. This is the type of bullshit. Let's watch. Let's watch. It's whatever. Let's just watch. Let's watch Flakko deal with this craziness. Let's see what happens.
No matter how often they see me around, if I say the B word,
What's
it's
the
not
B word?
Same. The BEANER or the SPIC word, right?
It's not the same.
Wait though.
They don't call themselves that.
They do.
No, they don't.
I've never called someone my beaner.
They don't do that.
What up, my beaner?
They don't do that.
That shit just sounds out like
I've heard
They
that
don't
used, right?
do that.
Hell nah.
They don't do that. Stop doing
Let
that.
me just break it down though, right?
Hey, but you
You
also
know,
heard
wait,
someone
though.
They
a
might
pastor
say
get called
it
daddy.
insulting
Can we-
each other, but they do not
go
say it
ahead,
as a term of
Can we-
endearment.
I've heard some Mexicans use it as a joke or like jokingly as a term of endearment, but as a whole, Mexicans do not have a culture of calling themselves those words at all. I will agree with that, but let's see what else they say. Let's see how they rationalize this.
Go ahead, my
At
brother.
least have a dialogue though.
Go
So
ahead.
right,
Let's go.
Go ahead. But it's just false.
right? And if they don't give us a pass to say anything even related to anything regarding those words, right? Who again though, I've seen people use it as a joke sometimes, etc., right?
We have a whole Hispanic
wait,
kid who
right?
just say he's never done
Right?
it in his life. You ever done that? Called a nigga.
Hold up, actually, Flakko has a point. Flakko has a point. Flakko has a good point. If Mexicans won't allow blacks to use any slur that refers to Mexicans as a joke or in a friendly way, if we're not allowed to use any slurs, then Mexicans shouldn't be allowed to use the N-word. I'm sorry, point blank period. What have Mexicans done to earn the right to use the N-word? Were Mexicans marching with Martin Luther King? I love Mexicans. I respect them. I see the hard work they put in every day in this country. I got no beef with the Mexicans. But it comes down to respect. If you won't let me use any word that is derogatory to your community as a joke, as a term of endearment, none of that, then the N-word, you got no business touching the N-word. It's crazy to me how black people will allow Hispanics to use the N-word when Hispanics have done nothing to even earn or even come close to earning the right to use the N-word. What, besides be non-white? Some of them are white. What, you think because Hispanics and you think because Mexicans ain't white, they're your friend, they're your buddy? Y'all got learning to do. Y'all got a lot of learning to do. Y'all got a lot of learning to do. Just because a group of people aren't white don't mean they're your friend. Just because they're dark skinned don't mean they're your buddy. No, it don't work like that. What y'all think it is? Everybody versus white people? That's an illusion, a fantasy. It's a fantasy. It's fake. It ain't real. It ain't real. In prison, you know who Mexicans team up with? The white boys. They team up with they don't team up with black men in prison. They team up with the white boys. This is just the truth. So it's funny to me how y'all will sit there and give Mexicans a pass because they're people of color. Y'all are retarded. Y'all won't give white people a pass? Granted, white people did a lot of fucked up shit to blacks. There's no denying that. They did a lot of horrible shit to black people. However, white people have done more to help black people than Mexicans ever have. This is the truth. White people have done more to help black people. In the time that we've been beefing with white people for the last 400 years straight, they have done more to help black people. They have shown more compassion to black people than Mexicans ever have. And yet you won't give white people the N-word pass. White people created the N-word. So they make the word. They've been nicer to us than Mexicans have ever been. I can promise you that. White people have been mean as fuck to blacks, but black people have taken so much bullshit from white people, but I can promise you, if you know even a lick of history, white people have been nicer to black people than Mexicans ever have. So it's clown world to me when some of y'all will sit there and you won't allow a white boy to say the N-word, and understandably so. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But you'll give a Mexican the pass to say the N-word. Bro, black people, please, we gotta wake up, bro. Please wake up. Please wake up. If white people don't get a pass, even though they've been nicer to us than Mexicans have ever been, why would you give Mexicans a pass? Black people, like, make this make sense, bro. And the fact that Suspect is defending this shit is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, bro. If I can't say any slurs for your community, you better not touch none of these. Black people earn the right to say nigga. Like, we went through hell and high water to get to this point. Mexicans weren't marching in the civil rights movement. Mexicans weren't fighting in the Civil War to free us from slavery. Stop. Stop.
My B word as a term of endearment, you just pull up on a nigga down.
Look at that. He don't even want to say it. He don't even want to say the word. I won't say it, but I'm not in this conversation, so. But he don't even want to say the word. He's going to afford Mexicans the respect of not saying the word, but he will give them the pass to say the N-word. This nigga's lost, bro. This man is lost, bro. He's lost. He is lost.
Never.
Right?
What are we talking about? That doesn't
If we
happen.
can't use those words, they should stay clear of the N-word.
I completely understand where you're going. So that way we don't go down a wild ass rabbit
Yeah,
hole
right.
and this
You
turns
feel me?
into
Yeah,
some
you know,
crazy ass
right.
shit later.
But you're asking people who grow up in a community amongst their friends and have talked away amongst their
'Cause
friends
definitely
comfortably
in
their whole
music-
lives.
It doesn't fucking matter what you grow up around. It doesn't matter what you grow up around. It does not matter, bro. Like, people sit there, and here's what's crazy to me, right? There are white dudes who have known black people their whole lives, heard the N-word 1,000,000 times, and they still feel no need to say it. Asian dudes. I know Asian dudes that grew up around black people their whole life. No mad, bro. They done heard the N-word more times than they can fucking count. And they still don't feel the need to say the N-word around black people. Mexicans are the only group that fights tooth and nail to say the N-word. You would have thought they were trying to be freed from slavery. You would have thought Mexicans were fighting for the right to drink from the same water fountain with the way this N-word conversation goes on. White people seem to be, for the most part, okay with not saying it. Asians seem cool. Mexicans are the only group that just fights tooth and nail to say it. Look, if Mexicans want to call each other the N-word amongst each other, I don't care. Y'all want to have a conversation? Bro, the first time I ever heard the hard R used in person around me was a white boy calling another white boy the hard R. If that's how it's going to be, I don't care. Call each other what you want to call each other. But when you're talking to me, please refrain from that. And I will refrain from using any slurs toward you, even including the N-word. Facts. But the idea that somehow, because Mexicans grew up around blacks that said the N-word, that they're entitled to say the N-word too, but blacks can't use slurs for Mexicans. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. The lack of respect in that is crazy. There's so much pain and misery behind the N-word. There's so much of a battle that was fought that black people had to fight behind the N-word. There's so much pain behind that word that it's crazy that Mexicans can just use it because they're brown and they grew up around black people. How is it that the same excuse is never used for white people? If a white dude grows up around black people, we don't give him the, well, he just grew up around them pass. No one gives him that. No one gives the white boy that pass. Whites never get that pass. Whites never get the pass of, well, he just grew up around black people, so he says the N-word. Whites don't get that pass. What, because Mexicans are sometimes brown? They get a pass? Like I said before, I fuck with the Mexicans, but history, I'm sorry, bro. The history just don't show. Like, bro, I'm sorry. Whites have been friendlier to blacks, despite being meaner to blacks than Mexicans have ever been. Whites have also been friendlier to black people than Mexicans have ever been. So it's crazy to me how whites can do more for blacks and still can't use the N-word, but Mexicans can just be brown and use the N-word. What are we talking about? This is clown world. Flakko's just inarticulate enough. He doesn't have the articulacy necessary to fight this fight, but it's fightable or winnable or whatever.
Stop.
No black man will ever get a pass of saying, yo, I grew up around Mexicans. I can say the B,
don't
the B
say
or,
that.
Because they don't
or
use
S word.
They don't
use
use
the word.
it.
It doesn't matter.
They don't use it
If
like that.
we
Yes,
can't
it does.
say it,
There was a word
they
that was
should be able to say it.
exactly the same.
That's like saying food. Like we can't say food.
Yeah, that's more
Yeah,
closer to that.
that's actually much
Nah.
closer.
What are you
Nah,
talking
bro.
about?
That's a lot closer.
That's
That's definitely not closer. The N-word had people enslaved behind it. The N-word had people hung from trees behind it. The N-word had people fighting for their civil rights behind it. The N-word had people fighting entire wars for a country that didn't even think they were equal citizens because of the color of their skin. There is no planet on this earth where the word fool is equivalent to the N-word. Not one planet. There's not one planet in this universe where the word fool that Mexicans use between each other is equal to the N-word. Too many people have been lynched behind the N-word, enslaved behind the N-word, raped behind the N-word, mutilated behind it, denied human rights behind it, denied equal rights, denied the right to vote, denied the right to own property, denied the right to do damn near to be a United States Marine. There are so many rights that black people were denied behind the N-word. And to even compare that to the word fool that Mexicans use amongst each other, this is crazy. This is some California shit, bro. This is crazy that niggas even like move like this in California, bro. This is crazy. How is it that Flakko, an African, has more of an understanding of how this is not the same than who I'm assuming that this guy right here is Black American. I'm assuming that's his ethnic heritage. How is it that an African guy has more understanding of this word and its history than you, who actually has a heritage behind that word? Make it make sense. This is pathetic. This is just embarrassing.
Closer
to the term of endearment that we're using it. That's
they
a lot
say
closer.
fool all the time.
That
We're
word
not
fool-
saying the ER word.
That word fool has never been used as a derogatory term.
Neither has nigga. The
It has. We talking about it has.
ER has.
No, no.
What are you talking about? That
You
shit
are
ain't
lying.
been used in no derogatory term in like 60 years.
Yo,
What are you
if
talking
you think
about?
that N-I-G-G-A has never been used
Nobody
as a
has
derogatory
ever-
term, you is wilding.
I've been around racist white people.
No, you are wilding.
And they've never
No,
hit
that's
me
false.
with the N-I-G-G-A trying to
That's
be racist.
grossly false.
They say ER.
That's a gross
They
lie
say
right there.
ER.
That's a gross lie.
And you've never heard no
That's a gross lie.
Hispanics say my B word as a term of endearment.
That's a
You're a
gross
fucking
lie.
moron.
N-I-G-G-A. Bro, listen to that, right? If you're giving a pass to Hispanics to say the N-I-G-G-A, nah, bro. Feel me like,
That's
nah,
great.
bro. Feel me,
And you
bro,
ain't even from the fucking streets.
Like,
what are you talking about, nigga?
What that got to do with, see, this is the shit I'm talking about. This is about the dignity and respect of an ethnic group of people. Honestly, despite the fact that I use the N-word, I think that it needs to end. Now, obviously, I'm probably not going to stop. This is hypocritical of me. But, like, and here's the thing, though. I do think it's crazy that we sit there and call each other the N-word all day, but we don't want other people to say it. I do believe that that's, like, ridiculous. I do believe that at some point we got to realize and recognize that this word, honestly, it's run its course. It ran its course a long time ago. It makes no sense that we refer to one another as a slur, even if it's a term of endearment. But to sit there and try to rationalize Hispanics calling us the N-word in common conversation is fucking crazy, dog. It's crazy. If they're not willing to allow us to use the terms that are used against them, then they're not allowed to use that word, bro. I think a lot of young black people don't understand how much pain and suffering went behind that word, bro. I genuinely don't understand. And for him to sit there and say, you're not even from the streets, bro. So what? And since when did street people ever dictate anything meaningful in society? Martin Luther King wasn't no street nigga. George Washington wasn't no street nigga. Malcolm X, when he was actually useful to society, wasn't a street nigga. When he actually made something of himself, he wasn't a street nigga no more. No man that's actually useful to his nation, his race, his community, his ethnicity, his clan, his family, no man useful to the people around him is ever a street nigga. Facts. So for him to be sitting talking about Flakko, you're not even a street nigga. Who are you to talk about the N-word? This is pathetic. But this is no jumper for you, bro. This is no jumper for you. It's fucking ridiculous, bro. This is just ridiculous. Pathetic.
I'm black, though.
Barely. What the
I'm
fuck
black,
is you
though.
talking about, nigga? Like, what
I'm
is you
black,
saying?
though.
You a nigga who you didn't
If
even
you're
grow up
giving a
with
pass to
niggas.
other races to that
You
word,
didn't even grow up with
that's
niggas.
wrong, though.
The fuck? You barely get the pass. The only reason you get to
I'm
say
black,
it is because
though.
you black. You didn't even
I'm
grow
black,
up
though.
with us.
I'm black,
he get
though.
more of a pass for him to say it than you do.
I was gonna say, so what
And
type
that's
of people,
wild.
what type of people did you grow up with? White people?
Both.
Oh,
White has
The fact that he sat there and said that a Mexican has more of a pass to the N-word than Flakko. What the fuck is this? What is this show? What the fuck is this? For those of you that watch No Jumper and take this shit seriously, explain to me what the fuck I'm watching right now. This is just disgusting. The fact that a black man would sit there and say that a Mexican has more of a rights to the N-word than another black man is disgusting. It's just disgusting, bro. It just goes to show how little respect we have for one another as a community, bro. Just goes to show, bro. I understand that Flakko is not culturally Black American. I understand that Flakko is not ethnically Black American. I understand that. But to say that Flakko has less of a right to say the N-word than a Mexican, who probably wouldn't want his daughter dating a Black man ever. He'd probably want, right, the idea that someone who wouldn't want his daughter dating a Black girl, his daughter dating a Black man, his son dating a Black girl, the idea that a community that for the most part doesn't want their children ever bringing a Black person home has more of a right to say the N-word than a Black man. I can't wrap my mind around this. I can't. I struggle to understand. Make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. I genuinely don't get it. And what in the one thing that I can't, the one thing I can't wrap my mind around is why is it that Mexicans have this crazy need to say the N-word with Black people? Why is it that white people don't fight for the right to do this? Asians don't care about this. White people, for the most part, don't care. You have like a few white dudes, but like nobody's really checking for them. Most races don't care for the N-word. Most races don't care for it. It's like, we wouldn't do it if we were Black people, but if they want to do it, whatever. And they keep it moving. They keep it moving. Mexicans are the only ones that have this undying need to say the N-word with Black people. If Mexicans want to say the N-word with each other, cool. I don't care if I'm walking past 2 Mexicans on the street that are 5'2" that I could beat the shit out of. If they're talking to each other and they say nigga to each other, that's their business. As long as they're not talking to me. As long as they're not talking to me, I don't care. But if you want to have a conversation with me, why do you feel the need to use the N-word? Especially if I'm not using it with you. I make it a point to not use the N-word with outsiders. So if you feel this need to use this word with me, what is going on with you? Why is it that every other community feels zero need to say this shit? And the Hispanic community, particularly Mexicans, have a lot of smoke for Black people. Mexicans have more smoke for Blacks than whites do. Mexicans have more smoke for Blacks than Asians do. Oftentimes. So it's crazy that a community that has so much smoke for Black people, somehow or another, also had this burning desire to like say nigga in casual conversation with Black people. I can't understand it. And the fact that someone like Suspect and other Black people can't wrap their mind around this is crazy. Mexicans are not your racial buddies, bro. They're buddies with white people. That's what they want to be buddies. That's who they want to be buddies with. It's the truth. I'm sorry. I don't have a problem with it, but it's like, bro, Mexicans move in a certain way to where it's like the idea of them even having a race-wide N-word pass is crazy to me. How is it that whites don't get a race-wide N-word pass, despite the fact that they're cooler with Black people than Mexicans have ever been? And yet y'all will give a Mexican a pass over a white kid when white people are usually nicer to Black people than Mexicans are. It's the truth. Like I said before, I fuck with Mexicans. I do. But Mexicans have done less for Black people than white people have. Mexicans have zero interest in Black people for the most part. White people at least are trying on some level to have an amicable, if not a positive relationship with Black people. Mexicans give zero fucks, bro. Like zero. The only thing they want is to be able to say the N-word when talking to you. That's it, bro. White people, at least there's white people out there like, come on, guys, we can get along, right? At least white people are trying to get along. Mexicans just want to say the N-word and keep it pushing. That's all they want. Like, bro, just let me say nigga. And then that's it. Like, that's it, bro. Like the fact that I'm not even mad at Mexicans anymore. I'm just mad at Black people. Because it's like, bro, like, it's like, it's fucking sad, bro. I can't even, like, I'm just disappointed in a Black man who would sit there and give a Mexican the pass, but won't give an African the pass. It's crazy to me. It's fucking crazy to me. Like, I can't understand this, but whatever.
Hispanics, Black, Native Americans, both, right? But again,
But
bro,
they weren't on some street shit though, like the way we speak.
it doesn't matter, right? Again, right? I would never get a pass for saying any one of those words. So please, I just don't think that any other race should be saying saying the again nigga word. Again, nigga and N-I-G-G-E-R has been used as
hard ER is clearly racist as fuck.
But
facts.
But again, both words have been used in the past as derogatory terms.
I've never heard the ending with the A used derogatorily,
Me
but
either.
if
And
you
I'm
have,
like,
then I
no,
can't
no, no,
dispute
no.
that. You know what I'm
Me
saying?
either. I'm black. I've never heard a nigga try to, and I've been in hella racial
I ain't gonna lie, that was
like
funny, I
a
ain't gonna
lot. I've been in a lot of racial encounters and never
Oh,
has somebody
shit.
ever said, "Yeah, you
This is
black ass
great.
nigga." Ever. They use the ER.
No, nah, bro. Yeah, bro. You feel me?
Man, you
I
just
know,
got
you
up here.
wildin'.
You just got up
I
here
think
and
you
claim.
wildin'.
You just got up here and claim that Hispanics say my B word
You
all
want to
the
know what's
time.
even closer than saying the NIGGA
The
is
fuck?
maybe calling a dude a paisa, maybe. Is closer to that. But even then, I wouldn't say that because we still don't.
They don't use that.
What
We
up, my
use it
paisa?
in
Like,
everyday
don't go that way.
conversation. We use it in music. It's embedded in our culture. They don't use that word how we use that word. That was a terrible comparison, and it totally diluted your whole statement.
I
Because
almost
you
want to
did not.
say
Yes, it
homie.
did.
No.
For
Sound
Mexicans, I want to
ridiculous.
say homie or fool is
Fool.
closer than
Fool.
closer
No.
than,
That would have been a much relevant
Fool.
statement.
Fool has never been used as a derogatory or vulgar term.
I mean,
You're
the word
completely not
fool.
understanding.
The word
No.
fool in itself is a derogatory
Yes, it
term.
is.
So
Thank you.
I
I'm
don't
so
think that
glad
them
we have a
listen.
Hispanic. I'm so
How
glad.
though?
that's
So
not,
glad we have a
that's not
Latino
Zuno.
here. So glad we have a Latino here.
What was that, brother?
So FOO has been used as a racial and derogatory term against Mexicans.
Not racial.
The word FOOO is short for FOOL.
But that word fool is not just
I see what he's trying to say.
exclusive
He's
to
saying,
them, meaning
yeah.
right? Meaning, right, the word fool cannot be an equal exchange for nigga.
But
No.
That's not what we're arguing. We're arguing that they don't use it.
We're saying
how
it's a
we
term of
use-
endearment.
It's a term of endearment.
It
They've
doesn't
never
matter, though.
used that. Yes, it does.
But the
Because if
root of
they
that word
used
is
it,
derogatory.
if they used it, both words are. If they use that word as a term of endearment, it would be we would have a whole completely different conversation here. But they don't. So that's an irrelevant comparison. Josh, am I
No.
right or wrong?
In your defense, Flakko,
You're
on a
right,
podcast recently,
I hope Josh is black. I really hope he is. And I doubt he is. He could have an ambiguous or racially ambiguous voice, which is rare but possible. Bro, this is just like, this is some no jumper shit, bro. Like, ultimately, this is some weird ass no jumper shit. Apparently in the video, also, like, Suspect talks about how, like, he's been at Mexican people's houses and they made him tacos or whatever. That's nice. But there's no amount of tacos that could buy the N-word from me. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. And look, I afford people the respect that I expect. If I expect you to not use any slurs with me, I won't use any slurs with you. I afford the respect that I expect. And I refrain from using the N-word with outsiders as best I can. Because I don't like it being used with me. But if Mexicans want to group up together in a group of like, I don't care how many of them there are, and they want to call each other nigga, that's not my problem. I'm not one of those people that's like, you can't ever use that word, never. Just don't talk to me with that word. Like, please. Like, I'm not your nigga. I'm not your like, we're not tight like that. And furthermore, a lot of people don't realize this, but even in the black community, you can't just walk up to some black person you don't know talking about nigga. Like, you can't do that, bro. Like, we gotta know each other for a while before you can just start laying nigga down. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like for an outsider to just throw nigga at me out of nowhere, it's crazy. It's just ridiculous. Like, no. If I can't use any slurs, and I don't care if Mexicans don't use those words or not. If I can't use them, you have no business touching nigga, because there's a shitload of pain and misery behind that word that your community had never once tried to mitigate, never once tried to fix. White people may have been the ones to use that word against us, but at least they've tried. They at least were moving towards something better. Mexicans and blacks still have Mexicans and blacks, like, bro, like, there is no relationship. There's no, Mexicans have done nothing for blacks ever. So it's like, if white people don't get the pass, and I understand why people don't want white people to have the pass, but if white people don't get the pass, Mexicans by default cannot even look at an N-word pass. Facts. It's just facts. If white people don't get an N-word pass, despite the fact that they've done more for black people than Mexicans ever have, Mexicans don't get the pass. I can't wrap my mind around this. I can't. Now, I also will say this. The use of the N-word eventually needs to stop. I think the N-word, N-I-G-G-A, yes. I think that it needs to end, bro, within this century. Like, by 3000, bro, that word needs to end. I'm sorry, bro. Like, it has to go. It's crazy that, like, I think that it's a bit irrational and chaotic for us to be calling one another a word that we don't want other people to use. I think it's a bit weird. I think it needs to end at some point. But I think it's ridiculous for someone to give Mexicans a race-wide N-word pass because some of them grew up with black people. You think any other community would give black people that kind of pass? Even if it wasn't a derogatory word, even if it was just like a word that a group of people just use for endearment that has no derogatory roots, you think they would want a black person using it like they're a member of the group? No. Bro, black people gotta wake up, bro. Just use your fucking head, bro. Anyways, it is what it is. I'm here for all the smoke. I'm sure there's some Mexicans that aren't gonna like this video, but fuck it. It is what it is. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.